So we're here with another Flashpoint Q&A. Today I'm joined by Thorin as usual. We are also joined by the Mad Lions' newest player, Innocent. So welcome to answer all of the questions. I will, first off, ask you some obvious questions. How are you guys communicating now? Because this was a team that was communicating all in Danish, now has to make the transition into English for communication. So how's that going so far?
Hello.
Hi.
For the starters, I think the comms are going pretty good. I'm kind of surprised, but at the same time, I'm not really that surprised because Danes always were speaking good English and stuff. So uh, I'm actually kind of surprised because we didn't have that much problems with communication. We only think that is kind of challenging for us is probably the spots in the game. I remember I think we played against Heroic and we lost like 2 runs when I could hear on TeamSpeak that there is info and damn, I don't know how to call it in English because there's no translation from Danish to English straight. So probably those things are problematic for now, but I feel like it's just a matter of time and just like we need to get used to it to find the common language with stuff like that. A part of that is pretty good.
Yeah, the thing, if people don't know, like Innocent has actually played in national teams before. Like he was in the Penta team that had Sonny and those guys. So it wasn't that he wouldn't be able to speak English to me. And actually, even as he says, obviously all Nordic players pretty much are fluent in English. The big question I had was whether they would be comfortable in it. Because if they were all doing it in Danish before, and they were even used to be when they had Honda, like a super tactical team, as he's saying, like I'm sure they've got like their own names for everything, all things that are only in the Danish scene. Whereas if you play in teams that are international, there's like a shared names for the spots and stuff that they just won't have in their team. So I guess that's just a work in progress.
Yeah, there is many stuff like that. They also call stuff like Dupri, Zipex and stuff. I'm like, okay, where is it? Yeah, but
yes.
we actually we ran through the maps that we are going to practice first, and we just walked through every spot that for the starters. And sometimes it gets confusing, but they're actually pretty cool with that. I also never heard a Danish word while we play, so even if I die in the game, they still keep talking English. I kind of asked for it before,
just to be strict and really make them learn.
It's like they also learn by that to communicate in general with me as well, but also it kind of helps me to help them because that's I think it's pretty important in CS to have this guy that is not in the round to still be in the round, and I was always making sure that everything is made well in the round, and I was always helping from spectator perspective. So yeah, it's really cool that they are doing it because it helps me to still be in the game, and otherwise I would be I'm dead and there is no me in the team anymore. So it could be kind of frustrating and I would feel kind of left out in the team. So it's good.
And in terms of not just communication, but how are you working with the team as a player right now? Have you changed the style of the team that's going to be played? What role are you trying to fill within this roster?
I was actually pretty scared at first because they told me it's me in the shoes of Babsky, and his style is kind of unique, if I would say. He's hyper aggressive sometimes, and I thought he's always playing like this. But then before we even made any decisions and stuff, I downloaded probably 25 demos of Mad Lions, and I was watching them before we made any decisions, and I was like, this guy actually doesn't play that hyper aggressive that I thought. It's not that tough to actually fill in. Obviously, he was more aggressive player than I am, but over the
usually
years,
like an entry player over the years, right? Usually like second in or something.
yeah, it's I feel good in lurking and I feel good at entering. So actually I feel good in any role at this point because I played all of them except the open. So it's but I actually over the time with the international teams and also going back to Polish scene, I kind of learned how to mix my roles. I was rather passive before. Even if I was entry, I wasn't like, I couldn't find the right momentum and stuff for doing entries. But like with all the experience, I think I learned a lot how to mix those things. And like Bubsky on T side, he was rather passive, I would say. He was just playing alone and finding the right timing. So it's not even about being hyper aggressive. It's just about finding the correct moment to go. And yeah, I feel good. I feel good in it. And in City side, it's basically 1-to-1. And because I was playing all the Bubsky spot in the previous team, so it's like transition on City. I actually feel really good on City sides on every map in this team, because like we did 1-to-1, and obviously it's different and people react different. And like I cannot expect the same things that I expected from my teammate that I played a year with, but it's still good. And like I feel pretty good with them so far, at least.
Good answers. Any updates on Flashpoint 2 timeline? Yeah, let's address this up front. Yes, we are planning on having Flashpoint 2 after the major, towards the end of November. What will you do if the major gets pushed back even further?
Cry,
get screwed,
curse the world. Yeah, just go fuck ourselves, suck a dick, cry some more, and then hope we still have jobs.
Yeah,
Those
get screwed is the answer.
You know, exactly. So,
it would not be awesome for us. Let's put it that way.
See, what I appreciate, by the way, guys, is that actually, through my own experience in esports, I now really do appreciate Gnosticism, because it's not the idea of like, does God exist or doesn't he? There is a God in Counter-Strike. It's called Valve. It's just that just because they're the God and they did make the game doesn't mean they're good. They're actually, in this case, they're evil. Like, they're a malicious force who sometimes, you know, one day you wake up and you're like, please, Valve, can we have a Road to Rio thing? And they're like, no. You're like, but why? I did everything you asked. They're like, just today, no. So there you go. Now do as I say. Oh, brilliant. Capricious God. That's
yes,
what I've learned.
Definitely capricious, distant, hard to understand. You know, we're just but mere mortals who can't possibly appreciate the true immensity of God's intelligence. So that's the answer to your question. But you know, we're hoping to run a nice event at the end of November and into December for you guys. We're working on obviously making it the best we possibly
can. Might even be
can.
better. Listen, in some ways it will be worse. You have to wait and see for that. But in some ways it might actually unexpectedly be better. But in ways we can't reveal yet.
Yeah, it could be both worse and better. It is in a quantum super state as an event right now. Let's go back to you, Innocent. Interesting question, given that we were touching on Penta earlier. Is there a prior lineup you've been on that you think, given enough time and development, could be a strong team now? So
yeah, basically, who was the best team you played on in the past?
Yeah, that's actually a good question, and I'm pretty sure everyone from that specific team were thinking about it. And it's obviously the Penta lineup. I think it was pretty damn good for the like amount of time, and like considering all the facts how this lineup actually was created. Like I'm super interested to know how that would be if we actually like didn't sort of disband, like let's call it like that. Sana left to Mousesports, and then HS got bought out to Optic, and we basically was left like we were planning the roster change anyway. So it was like, I don't know, I was playing in the, I don't even know, top 20 team, let's say, and we actually played good against like tier 1 teams and stuff.
Yeah.
And then like from this world, I got transferred to the other world like in a blink of an eye, and I was like, what just happened? Like I thought my life is actually going to the direction where I'm gonna be in those events like on the daily basis, and then someone just took it away and put me into some different reality, and I was like pretty sad about it. But yeah, it's actually I think we could become like a really great team, and like we were working extremely hard. I cannot think of a team that was close enough to doing that, because we are basically like, let's say the major road. For example, we went to the minor, we won 2-0 in the group, and then every team was like, not even the teams that won, they were like, okay, let's go for a dinner and then we play tomorrow. And we were like, okay, where's the closest internet cafe we could play? So we like we do 2-0 in the groups, we go for a dinner, and then we go to the internet cafe and play 6 more hours. And like we were doing like tremendous amount of work to make it work. And like everyone was there to win. We obviously became good friends in the process, but we just were there to win and to like make our dreams come true. So yeah, like I guess that was the team that could do much more for sure, but we just didn't have enough time to do it. We actually could have. I think there was a chance that Sane wouldn't leave before, because we actually had offer from like 2 NA orgs that gave us like, I don't know, 6 or 7 times more salary than we used to have in Penta, but they just refused to sell us. And yeah, Sane got better offer, obviously, like pro league spots and stuff. Like who wouldn't go? It was like no brainer for him. And then like it was hard to find player like Sane at this point. So yeah, everything collapsed. But yeah, it's like, I guess we will never know what could have happened if we actually stick together.
That sounds really shitty.
I didn't like that either.
Just so you guys know, I do see Valorant questions. You can ask Valorant questions, but I'm going to answer them all at once a little later, because 2 people here besides me can't comment on the Valorant stuff because I'm the only one who's involved out of the 3 of us. So I'm going to just knock them all out at once. So we'll talk about that later, I promise, if you have questions about our Valorant event. In the meantime, we can talk a little bit about the broadcast and Moses departing, because obviously now he's not going to be able to participate in Flashpoint 2, unfortunately. Huge loss in general to the casting scene and the CSGO circuit as a whole. So let me, instead of, mourning Moses, which we are all in the process of doing right now, what do you think, Thorin, in terms of having other analysts besides Moses that maybe haven't appeared at Flashpoint before? What's your philosophy on how we're going to bring in talent to this?
Well, yeah, one of the things people always seem to forget about Flashpoint is that improving the quality of the players and the teams in the league isn't something me and Monty can do. Right? That's not we're not even involved in that domain. At best, we can only make suggestions and hope people take them on board. And having people not take on board my good suggestions in Counter-Strike is pretty much just the MO of the scene. So not much has changed there. But in terms of the talent, we can have massive input. Like we essentially can, as long as there's no reason to preclude being able to do a contract with them, we can just pick who works the event. So one of the things I tried to do from the beginning with Flashpoint, I think we did a pretty good job for the first year, is get a really solid talent base. Like as far as I'm concerned, if you consider the leagues that were against each other, ESL Pro League and Flashpoint, we have the way better talent group. Like look at all the classic names, some people from the modern day who are good. We even had people who I'm pretty sure people didn't know would be good, like Maui Snake. I'm sure, but absolutely amazed some people who'd only seen him. He'd done one LAN event ever. He wasn't a big name person, but I told people this guy had his knowledge. He already was like on the cusp of. He just needed some experience. So in line with that, losing Moses, I've mentioned this in my video about him joining Team Liquid. I've already put out the feelers. I'm going to basically get some big talent to replace him in terms of name value. So we'll have some of the best commentators who maybe aren't currently in Flashpoint. But then I also, in terms of analysis, because he was obviously someone who'd done both roles, and so he was definitely playing both roles on our broadcast. The good thing about analysis is I actually think that is the most untapped market in Counter-Strike, because I know loads of really good people. A lot of them are those guys that you occasionally see on Reddit who are putting those videos out where they're breaking down rounds and stuff. There's about 4 or 5 of them out there. Not more, most of them aren't ready for broadcast, and most of them might not even want to ever do that sort of thing. But a couple of them I know have interest in that sort of thing in the coaching world, in the broadcast world. And so just as I brought Maui Snake in, I'm also potentially going to bring in some names you don't know, but you will be amazed at how much actual like analytical depth there is in CS. It's just that it makes sense if you think about it, because the past events didn't actually have the room for some of these guys to go into that depth anyway. Yeah, it's more about being a showman at the moment on normal CS lands and doing like 1 to 2 minutes each during the break. So it's actually more just about having a couple of cool points and expressing them in an entertaining way. So I'm actually looking forward to getting deeper analysis, because one day I hope when we have the best teams, it's going to be really fun to have like half an hour to dive into what's going to happen in a series and go super deep. That's the end goal, I think, is to get to that point.
Yeah, and I think also I think we've shown that people like Potter and Maui Steak, who are on the up and up, like Thorin is saying, just deserve chances. And one of the advantages that we have at Flashpoint 2 is we can help them improve a lot. And I personally am very interested in how, as a former analyst myself, I can give a lot of feedback because I have 15 years of experience doing this to those people and try and get them, more comfortable on the broadcast and kind of identify their strengths and personalities. And Thorin also does a lot of that also. So we're definitely, dedicated to developing talent as well and showcasing new personalities.
That's also, by the way, one thing I have to say in CS that hasn't really actually been really a thing, because unfortunately, when we do the normal circuit, we're all doing all these LANs. Even though most of us do the same events, so we're all friends, etc. You are in a way on some minor level competing, though. So it's not that like people wouldn't help each other. It's just people would never think to ask. If I, for example, unless it's someone I have a past relationship, like for example, people might know when Pimp was a player, he was a friend of mine, so I actually already knew him before he became a caster. Someone like Pimp might ask me like, what do you think I should improve here? Or like if people are banging on about his accent, is it a problem or something? You could ask me something like that. But a lot of them won't ask each other. So unfortunately, a lot of making it as talent is just pure trial and error on your own. And that isn't the fastest way to improve. Like if you're someone like these people, I mean, these people would actively ask for requests, feedback on certain things. Well, if they're open to it and they're willing to listen, we can, in some cases, give them the benefit of years of experience that they don't have to go through the hard times themselves, hopefully.
Yeah. People asking, will Sadokist make a return to CSGO? Can't talk about his motives. I will say that
I don't actually know if he's into CS at the moment.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I don't seem to see him commenting. He hasn't implied it to me or anything. If he ever does, he's ever a top caster and he really puts in the hours. Sure. It's not impossible. He could work with us. I actually, at the moment, when I look at the landscape, I don't know if he's going to be in CS at all, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I might do something like an interview on my own channel, though, in the future if he's maybe I'll ask him about that topic just so we can get some closure either way.
Yeah. I mean, I think that Sadokist is an exceptionally skilled caster. So I think he always is additive if he's super interested or super invested in the scene. I know he's been doing a bunch of the F1 stuff recently and seems to be enjoying that, especially as F1 went online. So
that's his main passion at the moment.
Sure,
if people don't know, like at the moment, I think he's just more into that than he is CS. Don't blame him if that's his thing.
Sure. Let's see here. If you guys want to comment on the Nitro leaving and Grim as a potential upgrade for Team Liquid, given Nitro's
I want to know what Innocent
form.
thinks here.
Yeah, that's what
Innocent, did you ever watch Team Liquid play, mate?
Of course I watched Team Liquid play.
What do you think of this change?
I was actually kind of surprised, to be honest. It's like maybe the same as people would think about Babsky and me. It's like it's not one-to-one change. It's not even the same. Like it's not the same word of of playing. It's like I was kind of surprised to see Nitro go, but like I guess everyone knew that something needs to change. I'm actually not really convinced at still making like a Stewie as a dedicated in-game leader. I'm not sure how he plays and stuff, but I cannot have that knowledge. So it's like it's a bit of a gamble for sure, but this Grim guy is pretty insane. And I was watching his demos lately, and like he's like really hard hitter. He can make a difference on his own. I think he's obviously like skill setting is higher than Nitro's, but it's like there's so many factors that Nitro was given to the Team Liquid, and he was like obviously the huge part of their success. And yeah, I'm not sure. I guess we cannot know, and everyone needs to like trust on Stewie's in the leading part. I'm actually also surprised to see Advent gone. It's to me, it's like one of these people that is like the highest knowledge of like about CS in general. So it's like this was like more shocking to me than see Nitro leaving. And obviously Moses knows a lot about CS2, but it's like I always thought like Adrian, he's like the guy to actually be the coach. So it's like I'm not sure how they are gonna build this roster, but yeah, they have extremely good players. So anyway, they will probably end up being good.
What do you think about the fact that, like, in this online era, we've had as a result some really weird pickups, like this one where Grim goes straight to Team Liquid. Even when Bymas got that testing phase, like if you go back into any past year, innocent, these deals never happen. You never go from like a nobody to like I'm already in like a top 10, top 5 team in the world. Like normally you have to go like, up the stages of the ladder. You have to go to a smaller, like you did. You have to go to a small team. You have to get into a team that can upset someone. You have to go to some lands. Do you think people, because it's online, they've just changed their mind?
Uh, I kind of think so, but at the same time, I cannot really recall the time when there was like that many talents. Like in one moment, there's like shitloads of like 16 years old that are like putting 30 kills in every FPL game that they play. And I think the online time when we play CS is kind of helping to test them against the better competition, because
Okay.
like there is like when you are like 16 years old and you go to the good, not even good LAN, you go to the like tier 5 LAN tournament, you will be obviously stressed, and
Of course.
like you can never perform the way you would do. But like here you're sitting at your home drinking Coke Zero
There we go.
and stuff. So it's like you don't have any pressure on you, and you just play the game like it is a puck. And maybe that's a good moment to give the chance for the younger generation to actually try them on the better level. And yeah, for sure that was like some factor to like bring in these new players into those good teams. But yeah, I don't think it would have happened in the LAN era. Actually, this is like also the one thing that I don't think like these tournaments matters. Like maybe it shouldn't be said this way, but I don't think these tournaments are like that high value than they will like that would be offline, right? It's
Yeah,
like
sure.
less prize pool, there is no
Mm.
audience, there is basically you just sit at
It's not
home
as
and you play.
important. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So it's like this year is like less important than the previous ones. So maybe that's just the place that these teams are like they are willing to gamble and try. I
One,
guess like those are factors.
one thing I want to say, actually, 'cause it's a point I made on a League of Legends show the other day, but obviously there's almost no overlap in shows, so I'll just make it again here more briefly. Is that's one thing that I don't think fans will ever be able to understand. Because one of the tough things I've noticed if you're a fan is you can only think of what you can remember in the moment. Like there's certain factors that will always be invisible. So one that a lot of fans won't understand is just try this experiment. If you're a person who plays CS, but you've only ever played it at home, you just play matchmaking, whatever, just go to your friend's house and just take half an hour and set up your mouse and your keyboard on your friend's PC and then try playing a game of CS. What you will immediately find is like, oh, the fuck, I can't get it how it feels at home. Like, doesn't feel like perfect. Oh, my sensitivity feels wrong. Understand that pro players doing all that amazing shit in frag movies are doing all of that from a setup that isn't their home setup. So the point I'm making is if you sit at home and you prove yourself in FPL or you just prove yourself in online games, that is the most comfortable setting. You literally are at your home PC. You literally do have your drink next to you and your mom in the other room and you've got all your environment. It's all nice and comfortable. Like the thing that people really undervalue is, I actually wonder what Innocent thinks about this because most people I know who've been pros in esports, they say it's not that you ever get it so that the LAN setting feels identical. You just get it as close as you can, and then you just have to forget it. Like it'll never be perfect. It'll never feel exactly like home, right?
Yeah, it's like to me, it's like I was like I know people. For example, we played before in Illuminar with Mono. He was like if you touched his chair at the bootcamp, like he will immediately know that you were sitting on it.
He's measured
And it's,
everything out or something.
and it's like he comes back to he went to toilet and then he comes back and is okay. Someone was sitting here. What did you
Okay.
do? And we are like, okay, I was just sitting here, but I didn't do anything. And it was like, no, I cannot play right now. I need half an hour to fix it. And then he comes here and like he touches his monitor and the move is like this, and everything needs to be like totally perfect.
Sure.
And I think it's like I had maybe not that hard, right? But obviously I had that, but then I just came to the point where I don't even have like some strict monitor settings or so, and I think it really helped me with like there is nothing to whine about. You go to the
Yes.
event if you don't have that much shit to like actually set up, you just sit, you put your config, you put your resolution, and then you play. And I think that's the best thing you can do for yourself, but because then like it's okay, this desk is too high, this is too low, this chair is shit, this colors are wrong, I'm not used to it, and it's like so many factors that could like distract you from actually playing. Like I think it's not worth it. Like what do I gain with having like better colors on monitor? It's still the same game and it works the same. So yeah, I think like you shouldn't really like put that much effort into like having this perfect setup for yourself.
Sure.
You should just sit and play, I guess.
Because when I told that when I was saying that anecdote there, Monty, on the crackdown, actually, where we had Kobe on, he told a story which, like, listen, it's not actually that big a deal because it turns out like it wouldn't have mattered in these games anyway. But apparently, when like Splice, that old Danish team with like Senkox and Kobe and Wonder and all them went to Worlds that year, where they were in that group with TSM and Samsung and RNG. Apparently, the fucking jungler, Trashy, he was now called Cold, played like the first 2 games or something in the group stage and was like, something's off. And then after he played 2 of the games, he was like, oh, it turns out I had 60 hertz on the monitor. It's like, that's it. Imagine you saying that when you just got to Worlds for the first time as well. Like, really, dude? You can't just fucking set that up before we play. Look at World Championship, you idiot.
Well, also, I'm surprised the monitors were like set to 60 hertz to start out with. I mean, that seems like something you would just set
maybe
in
that
advance.
was some next level like subterfuge, maybe like the fucking NA team came along before the TSM was in there. The screwdriver fucking changing the settings.
I think the 60 hertz is default anyway. Like when they clear the
when they take all the settings off.
Yeah. I mean, so it's like,
makes sense.
But still, there is also like sometimes you do stuff that you wouldn't think is possible. It's also like, obviously it's a stress. Like you're stressed when you go to a tournament. Like for example, I don't feel stress anymore. Like maybe I don't feel that, okay, I'm stressed right now. For sure I'm stressing. Like, I don't know, even the first one I play with Mad Lions, we play Heroic on Mirage, and then I'm okay, I'm all ready, let's go. And then like 10 seconds in the round, and I'm like, oh, I didn't buy Kevlar. And like, who doesn't buy Kevlar on pistol round? And I was like, okay, I just did. And it's like, I was, it's obviously, it's not like I forgot it because I forgot it. I was probably stressed a bit, and then I just didn't do the obvious thing. And like those things can also happen. Like there's too many factors that actually people cannot see and they don't know until they are in the position of like being actually player. So yeah, I guess
Sure.
shit happens.
Okay, so a couple production questions real quick for you, Thorin. So it says, for Thorin and Monty, have you guys thought about producing a podcast that's similar in tone to this one, but less focused on questions or like by the numbers? Adjacent to this, are you continuing Counterpoints with Moses? I actually don't know the answer to this.
Yes, I've spoken to him already. He's up for doing it still.
Cool.
And I already did a show with you when you were the coach and an owner of a team, so I'm already used to working with bias. So you know how that works. What people don't realize, that's why actually the shows do work when I do them, because I'm going to say the same shit I'm going to say anyway, no matter even if that person is the coach of the team. So if anything, I'll just roast Team Liquid and then
it gets funnier.
Yeah, exactly.
He actually just makes it funnier in many ways.
Yeah, exactly. So I am planning to keep doing count points. Yeah.
Okay. And in terms of us doing a show together on CS, we'll see what the future holds. And the other question, which I thought was interesting, is will we see similar content like Thorin's new show Stratbook on Flashpoint?
Not impossible. I mean, there's some rumblings. I can't tell you much about it yet. Of like potentially there will be more content outside of just tournaments for Flashpoint. So potentially that's something that would be within that purview. I think if the right deal came together. Yeah.
Yep. So there you go. I thought this was an interesting question for you, Innocent, coming from the Polish scene. What experiences did you have in regards to Virtus.pro? Do you feel that rising or promising Polish talent were, this is loaded, robbed the opportunity to play in the #1 Polish team?
Because for people who don't know, they basically never changed players in the team.
Even when they were terrible.
Yeah, so people like Innocent, for example, years ago, were the people being named as like maybe they'll be the next person, but then like 4 or 5 years went by. So
yeah, it's like I wouldn't call that like being robbed.
Yeah, that was pretty intense question.
It's for sure like wrongly put in the words, but like at one point, like you got to understand that they were playing good. They were having like stable like organization, big money. Let's call it that way
Oh, one of
because
the
like
biggest, yeah.
it was insane salary, especially for the Polish standard. Let's say, like
People don't know.
obviously,
At one point in time, they used to make like $20,000 a month, and in Poland, like that's like a yearly salary entirely. They're doing it in 1 month.
yeah, like
So it was really impressive.
good yearly
Yes,
salary. Like you
yes,
get to look like Poland is like the zloty currency, and it's like let's say euro divided by 4, so it's like 4 times money for us basically for like the standard of living. So like if you earn that kind of money, like whatever happens, you don't really want to like give it up and risk it because they
Sure.
were good. They were still
yes.
good. They actually never were like at the moment where they actually should make roster changes to actually perform and like maintain on the level. They were always somewhere in the top. They were never like I would never call Virtus.pro like the best team for some time. They were always there, like top 3, let's say. Sometimes first, sometimes second, sometimes third. But yeah, they were playing really good and. Mm, I was actually wondering if there will be a time to that they will actually make roster changes and pick someone. They when they did, it was way too late though. I think they slept the moment to actually maintain on top. They actually
Yes.
made the roster change. First mistake they did was like I don't think they removed the right person at that moment for sure. And I'm not sure if like the change straight like picking Mihu to this team was also the right moment. Like I mean the right choice in that moment. Obviously he was like the best talent in Polish CS and stuff, so he deserved his chance, but maybe not at this point. And they also like did only one change when like
Yes.
obviously things went like from really good to terrible, and
Yes. It's
they
never
should
going to be
never
one
make
player if you go
yeah
down that much, is it? Come on.
it's never like a fault of one player. So I
Yes,
was like,
exactly.
okay, after 5 years you do the roster change and you swap one guy, that's not even like main problem of your team for sure. Because like you can say whatever about Taz, but you can never take his like commitment to CS.
Sure.
Like this guy is like living and breathing CS. So like when it comes to like playing, preparing stuff, and like being committed to what they were doing, I'm pretty sure Taz was like putting the most hours in this team. That goes without saying, to be honest. And so that was their main mistake. Like they swapped, I think, the wrong guy at this point, and they only swapped him. They should have changed it, at least 2 players. Obviously, I was uh, kind of hoping at some point that they will do the roster change, and I was really good at that time. I was just thinking about like giving headshots and stuff, and I was pretty good at it. I remember like whatever we played back then as like ESC, G2, or Dobry Gaming, we had like the name in common. I mean, in the process when we didn't have organization. So I was always really good. I would always 30 bomb anyone we played if it was tier 1 or tier 3 team. So I thought maybe I can squeeze in at some point, but when they actually started to like lose, like I could see there's like many flaws, and I like this dream of joining them at some point kind of vanished from me. Like I would rather like when I seen what they're doing right now and how this team is working, I was like I would rather make my own team, beat them, and become the better team than they are. Like than joining them. It didn't make sense to me, and like this whole dream of being in VP kind of stopped to exist in like 2017, like late 2017. It was just gone.
That was a very good answer. Very in depth. People also want to know who the best IGL you've played with has been over the years.
I cannot really say much about Asilion yet. Like we play few days only with each other,
Sure.
so like until that point, it has to be Snags 100%.
Mm.
He is like completely different IGL than the ones I used to play with. He's like he reads the game like really good. He's like he's not like just another player. Like you can see that there is like he plays, and you can see that like in his brain there is whole map, and he like thinks of every single part of the map at once, and not many people are capable of doing that. So like if I would have to name one player that is like extremely good IGL, I would say Snacks for sure. I'm not sure how he would be doing it in English, but for the Polish standard, if there is like a team that wants to be really, really good, they need to have Snacks as caller, because I don't think there is anyone close to his leading level in Poland right now.
Unfortunately, that was almost like a trap question, because half the problem of the Polish scene and why there was never a team as good as Virtus.pro is that even when they had talents, they never actually had any good in-game leaders, unfortunately. It was one of the main roles they were lacking, unfortunately. So it kind of makes sense.
It's kind of problematic, because like there is one guy, I wouldn't really like call his name, but like there is one player in Poland that is pretty damn good IGL, I would say. But we had problems with contracts in Poland. It's kind of messy, because you cannot really build like the really good team. Because let's say there is a guy that earns, I don't know, 1,000 euro per month, and his buyout is 200,000 euro. Like, how that happened? Why did you sign this? Like, why nobody helped him with that? It's really big problem. But yeah, it's basically it's really hard to put like a really good team in Poland, because people are stuck in the contracts, and organizations are not really that open to let go, because like obviously why would they do
They
that?
want to keep the player, exactly. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess we just need to wait until like some magic will happen, or like some super good investor comes and he says, okay, I buy you and you and you, and then we make a team. But I don't think it's is likely scenario though. Like considering the fact,
I wonder if there's some sort of Counter-Strike Players Association that could theoretically get together and put a cap on the amount of buyouts within player contracts, so that this problem wouldn't keep happening. I don't know, just a wild and crazy thought out there that they might be able to collectively.
The thing to me that I don't get is, like, I'm someone who's often argued in favor of the buyouts, from the sense that, like, let's say I do all the work of having like a really good coaching staff who scout like a young player, he's amazing. I don't want 1 month in the person with more money to go, oh, he's good, thanks for finding him, I'm just going to take him from you actually to my team. Like, in that scenario, you should get a buyout. But my problem is, like he's saying there, if
the
someone
200x multiplier,
someone makes like 12,000 euros a year, it doesn't make any sense that the buyout could be 200,000. Like, the problem with that is basically, I feel as though what I would like is, I don't know what the number is. I'm totally open to people having an interesting discussion about this, like all the orgs coming together. But if we could just all agree to like what the ratio would be, like maybe the ratio is like 2x or 3x or something where you get compensated well, you get much more than you would have had to pay the guy in that contract. So, you know, you get something out of it as the team. But at the same time means that, like, because as he's saying there, the real problem is, at the moment, there's no like logic as to what the buyout is. So, for example, it doesn't really make sense that like I could go and buy like a top 30 player in the world for 300,000 euros, or I could go and buy 2 players that we've never heard of from Poland. Like that, the logic, there's no logic to that. Like in fact, you couldn't have a normal market that way. The price doesn't make sense, does it? It's like the brand of shoes with no name isn't as expensive as the Nike, is it? Like, there's a reason why those brands exist. So that's the problem to me, is it makes it harder to be like a proper sports scene. Because if you look at like football is the obvious one every European's going to know, there's a logic to how much people cost. So if I only have like half as much money, I have to go, to a lower, like maybe I have to do even more work with scouting. But I know I can buy the player. It won't be the same price. If you make the prices as out of range, it just makes the scene like upside down to me. Because sometimes you have a player in a way worse team, and the team with more money can't afford him. Like, that just doesn't kind of make sense to me.
Yeah, I think one of the things that Overwatch did well is that if you're on an amateur team, so not an Overwatch League team, there is like a multiplier maximum that you can charge for a player buyout. And I think that makes sense, like having a 5x multiplier on their yearly salary. The difference is that I also think that So in Overwatch, if a team runs like an amateur roster, an OWL team has their amateur roster, they have a right of first refusal, which means that they can match that offer to get them onto the main roster, the Overwatch League roster. What I would do in this case too is just say, like, if the team that they're currently contracted to is willing to offer the same salary as the potential buyout, then they should have that right of first refusal as well, so that the player continues to get paid a higher salary to remain on their current team, if they don't want to sell. So
if people don't get that, is also better for the player in that
Yes.
scenario, because even though he has to stay on the team, he now gets paid what he would have if he'd gone to the other team.
Correct.
So the logic is the player benefits either way, just
Yes.
because someone's interested.
Yeah, the player
I
gets
actually
paid
like
the
that
same
idea,
no matter
yeah.
what. So
No.
yes.
Like, I know in the short term, the player would think, well, I lose my agency of where to go. And it's like, you do it away, but you also in the long run will gain from that. Because the big problem with these buyouts is, like we're saying, I wouldn't be complaining if it was a buyout, but then people pay the buyout. The real problem with the buyouts now is it makes people not be able to be bought. It's not like someone pays that buyout. Like, basically, most of those buyouts that you hear of that are crazy for players you never heard of just never get paid. It just traps the player. That's all it does.
Yeah, and it's like I don't think there is like a worse thing for a player and also for you as an org to like keep your players in the contract cell. Like, if a player decided to, okay, I want to be in that team. Like, even with me, I was like, my contract was actually expiring, so like yeah, I was like, that was pretty my decision. But I can only imagine, like, I'm playing, we played some, I don't know, Malta Vibes event or so, and then we lost like 2 games and we're out of the tournament. And like sitting in my chair, and how we lost again against some like random team that we never lost before, and now we are getting dominated. And then I seen a message like, Mad Lions wants to buy you out from your team. And I was like, okay, Mad Lions, they play in
That must have
the...
been really weird when you got that message from all the
Yeah,
teams.
honestly, I was like, first, what I did, like, is it a prank? And I I checked my phone and I was like, is it the real account? And I was like, okay, it's the real account. And yeah, and then I started to thinking, and like, imagine what happens if I already made my mind. Okay, I want to, like, if I go now, I will play on DreamHack Summer. I'll play ESL One Cologne. I'll get a chance to play in the Flashpoint Season 2 and stuff. And then someone says, no, you will stay and you will just continue playing with us. Like, I actually thought about it. Like, if I made my mind and I want to be like, I'm not the youngest, like, at this moment, let's face it. So it's like, if someone would take this chance away from me, I don't think I would want to play anymore. It's like,
Purely motivation, right? It's the last big chance.
it's like no one ever picked me in the team. It was like I was always making the teams. I was always a part of the group that was creating the team from zero. And I think it's actually the first team that asked me, "Hey, would you join us?" And yeah, to
Right,
me, it's like,
I'll just get on the violin. No. Oh, it's fucking. It's heartbreaking. Innocent. Keep telling me no one ever picked me. Oh, no. Oh, it's poor bastard. Oh, finally someone picked him at the last moment. They reached
Yeah,
out. And they said,
but it's true. Like,
"It is.
I
It's
don't
true.
know.
You're actually being quite unlucky with your career, mate."
I don't know how that happened. I mean, I know how that happened because, like, I don't know how that sounds, but I always thought I'm really like strong individually, and I always knew how to shoot people and stuff. But once I got in the team, like, the team is like way more important than myself, and it's like I couldn't find the common ground. Like, I couldn't be like a teammate and also like a really good performer on my own. I would always go back, take the shittest role, and always throw the utility for my teammates just to make it win. And
The problem with
that's
that is when the team breaks up, you're going to be the person that gets left behind, right?
yeah,
It makes
like
sense.
I'm pretty sure I was actually damn good in Penta lineup at the first when we made it. Like, everyone was obviously playing like up to his potential at first. But yeah, then we started winning, and then we started to like move up in the rankings, and I was like, okay, we need this and this. I will be doing this, so we win the rounds. And then, like, in the blink of an eye, Sunny goes, HS goes, and I'm stuck. And then we get the 2 Germans in the team, and like it's same story all over again. And yeah, I made that mistake, but actually, Toby, the like he was a coach in Sprout back then, now big coach.
Yeah.
He actually, I spent a lot of time talking with him, and he told me many important things on how to behave and how to treat myself and how to find myself in the team environment. And I'm pretty sure he's like the main reason why I started to play good at offline events too. I'm actually like really confident on offline events now. And also Illuminar's coach, he really like made me feel like a star at some point, and like he made me believe that many runs depend on me. So like in this team, I could play like I never did, and I actually felt that. I was like, okay, we go into this game. I need to drop 30 bomb and then we win. And yeah, I started to play like that, and like yeah, it was like that. Like I never said it, but like they told me that if you get 30 bomb, we win. That's simple. So yeah, that's the moment when I learned to play like that. And yeah, I got few offers in this year, also international. I think 3. That was like pretty good also, but obviously Mad Lions was like here,
The
and they
better.
were like here.
Yeah.
So
Fair enough.
Makes sense.
I'm going to answer some of the Valorant questions real quick. So, yes, we are running a Valorant event last week of August. People asked about talent announcements. We're still working on finalizing that. We're planning on having talent in studio in Los Angeles. So we're just making sure we can get everybody there, especially during the pandemic concerns and everything like that. So that's kind of where we're at right now. If you guys want to watch it, it'll be on this channel. Moving on. I'm curious, too. How does acoR compare to previous AWPers you've played with, Innocent?
I would say like he's pretty damn good. Like I knew he's good, but then it's like I don't know how to like where to put him. But he's like we played with Veggie in Illuminar for the last months, and he's like the best movement of all players I've ever seen. Like literally, like if there is some player like there is JW that has really good movement, for example, then Veggie is like 10 times better in movement than JW. He's like literally insane with that. So acoR is like Veggie, but with the op, and it's like he's swimming on the map. Like it's so good to watch. I'm dying, and then I'm straight into acoR's POV, and I'm just watching how he moves his crosser. It's like he moves like a machine. It's really funny. Like even if he throws the smoke, it's like everything is so precise and like so mechanic. He just moves his cursor like in the straight lines like that, and like you could see it's not like wooden moves. He's not he just feels it, and it's like
Yeah.
so nice to watch. And yeah, he's I'm not sure who would I call like similar AWPer to his style. I think it's pretty unique, to be honest. I don't think I played with AWPer like acoR before. Is unique for sure, and I'm pretty sure he will be he will be top AWPer. Like he's obviously one of the best AWPers anyway, but he will be like top AWPer in the future, like 100%.
Yeah, if people out there are players who are AWPers, you should really like if you want to learn how to peek corners, just watch how acoR does it. Because the way he does like his wide peaks and stuff, he just sets it like Innocent Sin. He's so fluid with how he does it. Like he just sets up his shot to where he knows he can hit it all the time. It's amazing. I'm very impressed actually, because there's a lot of people can hit the AWP shot, but actually how you set up the shot with the AWP is way more important at the tier 1 level, because you're facing the best AWPers in the world.
Excellent. Let's see here. I'm gonna pull up some other questions right now. Here's a good one. A lot of retired pros are coming back to the game, like Neo and Taz after the long break, as well as Doja. Why do they insist on playing rather than transition to coaching positions or being GMs of big teams? Well, in my experience, having owned a Counter-Strike team, one of the biggest frustrations I had is when a player is probably past their prime, players still want to play. Every player thinks they can always come back and be at the top again, or that they will improve, and that I think, unfortunately, many of them don't want to go to coach or GM positions, even though that's where they would be more effective at this point in their career.
I think it's like if you are a player and you want to play, and there is a like someone to actually pay you for doing that, I don't see a reason why would you refuse that. Like people are saying
Oh no,
why
they
they
do.
didn't
Trust me, they
retire.
do. They do.
It's like why didn't they retire already? Like save your embarrassment or whatever. It's like very common in the Polish scene. Like many people are hating on that. But I feel like if you want to do what you do and there is someone to actually support you in that, why wouldn't you? Like why would let's say Neo and Tas be forced to actually coach when they can still play? Like it's their choice and they are doing what they want. And obviously they're for sure doing something good for the players they play with. They have like they have Stomp and two younger players that will obviously learn something, and they will get some exposure for in social media and stuff. And yeah, it's I think it's fine to play if you want to. You don't need to like leave and do something else if you don't want to. Even Dosia said that he will play if health permitting, he will play until 40 years old. So if he wants that, why not?
It's a great line for an interview. I'm not sure I believe he would play when he's 40, but I like the line. I like it's a witty line. Put it this way, the problem I have is like I think Innocent sort of got close to my position now, which is the person who asked the question of isn't the player. Like it's not up to him whether he gets to play as a pro. If no team wants him, you'd have no choice. He'd be retired tomorrow. Like, if you want to ask that question, you should really ask that question of the team that hires them. Like, if you think they aren't good enough for the team, then say, like, why does this team hire the guy? Because I agree with Innocent. Think about it this way. Everyone understands why sports stars often wait until they're literally injured before they retire, because you can't ever be a sports star again in your life. Like if you wait 10 more years, you can't go. Like if anyone watched that Michael Jordan documentary, The Last Dance, if people don't know, they hint at it at the end of that. But a lot of people think that Michael Jordan is really secure with his career because he never lost in the finals. Dude, that isn't true at all. Supposedly, all the insiders who are friends of his think actually he's tortured, that he always wanted to like go to the finals and lose once just so he could retire and be like, right, finally it's over. So he still feels like, I don't know how many more times, like maybe I could have won one more time. Like maybe I could have made my even more impressive resume. So a lot of these people, it's like, if you still have any drive to play anymore, if you're as old as these guys are, you haven't got much time left anyway. So you may as well do it now. Like in 10 years, there's not going to be any team that's going to want you. So I don't blame the player ever. I think it's more on the team. Like if you think the team is hiring a bad player, you can criticize that. But if you're a player, I get it. I don't like, because the same answer goes to why don't they become a coach? Maybe some of them just don't want to. Like some of these guys, what they enjoy is playing the game.
Yep.
I don't know if they would enjoy coaching. It's a totally different thing. I know people think, well, it's similar. It is, but, and also I'll add in as well, some people, this might sound sad because we all treat it like it's a sport, but some people who play Counter-Strike just want to play. They don't see it as like, they're not going to be involved for like 60 years. They don't want to do it their whole life like in football. They just want to be a pro player. And when they finish that, some of them will just retire and we'll never hear from them again.
Well, it's pretty normal for athletes, right, as well. Like, we don't see every single athlete becoming a coach at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of them,
it would be like
the majority of them just retire.
Just retire, Joe Montana, become a coach. It's like, mate, you might not want to do that. Maybe you just only want to be a quarterback. Maybe in a second he can't do that. You're just off for me. So be careful what you wish for, guys.
The difference is in esports, it's harder to get set up for the rest of your life in the same way that it would be in athletics to just retire forever and not do anything ever again. But along those lines, there is an interesting question here. If you could pick the current CSGO player that you think would be best at moving to coach, I think that's a very interesting question.
Ooh, who would you pick for this, Edison? Basically, you're just picking someone you think would be like a smart coach or has a good mind for the game or something. Who would be a good player for that?
Okay, who would that be? Like the most obvious few months ago would be Hundan, but he's already there.
There we go.
So who could that be? Maybe it's okay. Maybe it's I don't think he's close to that with his age and actually how he can perform. But like one players for sure would be Fallen. I think he would be pretty good coach.
Sure.
And actually the person that would be like really good coach, because like his brain is all in the game and he's also really, really smart and he creates insane strategies, is Crystal from Godson. He is the, like, if he ever wants that, he will for sure find a place as a coach in the future in CS. Like he wasn't like a strict leader for us in Penta because we actually had like freedom to call on the fly. Everyone could do it. Like I'm going B, and then I see, okay, this guy is using utility in the wrong way. Next round, let's go B and just explode it. And that's how we played. So he wasn't like that hard in-game leader, let's say. But the like strats he was making and every like small details that we had in the game, and you can also see like how Godsend plays. They have like a lot of small things that you don't really see every day, and I'm pretty sure Crystal is finding most of them. For example, even the round where they won against OG, I think in the minor qualifier, like there is a 1v1 in the last round, 15-14, and Crystal silently jumps out of heaven on Nuke and wins the round against Mantu, I think, that like he didn't know he jumped, there was no sound. And those are like the things that Crystal finds, and he's really good at it. So I think these things like are like could make him an excellent coach in the future.
If people don't know, the reason why that's actually like an interesting answer he'd give is because Crystal also is kind of like the German Hunden. Like he's been in a lot of the like tier 2 and tier 3 teams because he can be an IGL, but the problem is he has the same issue, is people don't think he's a good enough fragger, and so he usually ends up getting kicked or the people leave his team. So he's kind of in the same position where it feels obvious that if people keep recruiting you, even though they know you're not that skilled, they must think you have a good mind for the game. So I agree. I'm pretty sure he'd probably get coaching work pretty quickly if he gave it up in that sense. I mean, I'll just give a boring one and just say like someone obvious like Glaive. I think would obviously really enjoy being a coach. I think it's like as soon as he stops playing, he's the kind of person I could see getting really into the like coaching side of the tactical game and trying to break down demos and stuff. I think be an obvious person. You know, there's a lot of good in-game leaders I think could do that role. Like MSL, I think could do it as long as he wasn't too stubborn. Yeah, it might be what you'd probably have to overcome a little bit, be a bit more of a people person, but his mind for the game. Yeah, he's really good at coming up with tactics and breaking demos down and stuff.
Excellent. Well, I think it was a really good question, so we will end there on our Q&A. We've budgeted the hour for the week. Thanks a lot, Innocent. You gave some really in-depth and solid answers. Congrats on the new job with playing for Mad Lions, and we'll look forward to seeing you over at Flashpoint 2 in November.
Yep.
Are you guys playing any tournaments? What tournaments are you playing soon that people can watch you in? Let's put it that way.
Our closest event would be ESL 1 Cologne. By the way, I have a problem with ESL naming these events like ESL 1 Cologne when it's online. Like it makes any kind of sense whatsoever.
It's been at IEM New York as well. I know it doesn't make any sense at all. Well, the joke is this, right? I didn't say this, but here's what I do. You know my approach, Monty. Of course, like especially back in the day, what we say almost had no influence on what the actual industry did. So what you do is you go with the approach of like just burn it all down, let it go as bad as it can go, so people can see how bad it is. So my joke would be this, Monty. Let ESL do that. That's fine. Let them have that. But if you're the other tournaments, think about it. You can now level up. Just call yours like fucking DreamHack Taj Mahal or something. Call whatever the fuck you want. Like, you don't have to be there. Call whatever you want. Yeah. So, there we go. I'm going to have the fucking Star Ladder Sydney Opera House Invitational. It's not even in Sydney.
I think we should go bigger and say Flashpoint Mars.
Centauri or something.
Yeah,
there you go.
Flashpoint Mars. It will be the first esports event to ever take place on Mars, guys, in November. So there you go.
As long as you don't name it Neom, then it's all good, I guess, for you.
That's the one line no one can cross. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back next week with another one of these for you guys. Till then.
Okay, thank